in consideration to all of us here in the room, we ought to make sure that we handle ourselves in a more appropriate manner. Though we might choose not to answer a question, I think there's, courtesy that should be obviously displayed by all involved here.
So can you tell me?
If anybody in the audience is addressed by someone up here, I would ask them please to do it through the chair. I'm sorry.
So are you willing to tell me how it came about to send me to a doctor? When you already had a note from my treating surgeon?
Dan, I'll answer it this way and then we're going to get off it and I'll recognize anybody else.
Okay.
There are prior practices that we've established, okay? You are not the first one that has been asked to go to a doctor while you're seeing your own doctor, all right? There's probably not an officer that I can recall that has not had some sort of condition that we have not asked to have a confirmation from our doctor.
Oh, I disagree.
Well, okay, and that might be so, as I said.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement.
Okay, and I'm sure that's relevant.
What I just want to know, if the council can answer me tonight, is how did it come about for me to get checked out? Was it voted upon?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it done in private?
Yes.
I have to state that I am not comfortable speaking about personnel, what I consider personnel
I agree.
in an open public forum.
So was it done in a closed public forum? That's what I need to know.
The time is run anyway.
I just,
So, Mr. Creange.
I think it's only fair that you answer me, Mr. Zampetti.
Okay.
Was it discussed privately, or was it made a decision by you, or was it a decision by the council? Very simple.
Councilwoman Schnepp, you had a
No,
point you
I
want?
was just going to say that personnel matters are discussed in closed session.
So what you're saying, it was discussed in closed
No, I'm
session?
saying if you have questions about the personnel matters, maybe you should do closed session.
I'm asking how we got to
All right,
the point.
that'll be it, Mr. Creange. If you could extend the courtesy you normally do, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
When you come forward? Yeah.
You can stand. I don't know why I asked them to come forward.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a concerned citizen.
Please state your name for the record.
Okay, Levita Smith, and I am a concerned citizen of the town. I've been living here a little over a year. I recently spoke with the Borough Administrator, Mr. Meeks, which I understand is new to his position. Previous to that, I've spoken to Art Jones in regards to my concerns with overnight parking. I reside on Richfield Avenue, which is a block that is itself 2 blocks long between Linwood and Portland Road. I happen to live on the side where there are no driveways. There's 30 steps up from the ground. All the houses sit up high. On any given day, my particular side of the street where the overnight parking is allowed, there are cars there through to the end of the week till when street cleaning begins. Basically, 4 to 5 blocks share this 1 block of parking.
Might I ask a clarification?
Sure.
You say that they're there, meaning they haven't moved
Yes.
over the course of days?
Yes. I've taken vacation.
I will ask the chief who's here to ask patrol to attend to making sure those
That's
cars are
fine.
moved. I believe there's some statutory limit, 48 hours or something in that category, correct?
That's correct.
That's fine, but I mean, I personally know, and this is my own experience, I have neighbors who live across the street with a driveway which can hold 3 to 4 cars. They have 2 cars, one parks one on the street, and it stays there until street cleaning day, which is Friday, and the other car remains in the driveway. There's an apartment building at the end of the block on the Fort Lee Road, so I understand there's some parking in the rear, but I'm assuming that maybe it doesn't accommodate all the tenants that live in there. My thing is, I'm a single parent. I have walked 3 to 4 blocks in the snow some nights because I can't park across the street overnight. There's only overnight.
Again, because they're already occupied, though.
Right, they're occupied. When you come home at 5 o'clock, there's maybe 2 spaces left on the entire block. If I leave work, if I came home half a day, there's still those same 2 spaces that you gotta kind of fight for. The block is only 2 blocks long, and I really don't understand if it's overnight parking on, say, the right side of the block, which is my side where the odd numbers are. Why wouldn't it be extended? I mean, I know this is just comments. Why would it not be extended to the other end of the block when the block itself is only 2 blocks long? Mr. Jones made comments about checking with the mayor and whoever heads up emergency road vehicles and when there's snow equipment and things like that. I mean, the block doesn't narrow from one end to the other in my own observation. But I'm concerned. I mean, I walk from the railroad tracks with my daughter when I come home. You know, I parked up at the church, and I know it's illegal, but I mean, oh my God, where am I going to park? You know, I have walked, my aunt lives over here on Main Street, I have parked my car in her space on Main Street across from the Sunoco and walked all the way back around to Ridgefield Avenue, just so that I try to avoid having a summons. I paid, I don't know how many summons over the course of the year. And in addition to that, I mean, when they have the parties around the corner at the VFW, it's on both sides. So I have to set my alarm clock. I mean, and there's nights where I set my alarm clock to get up at 2:30 in the morning, hoping I don't have a ticket, then go and move my car 2-3 blocks away, walking back by myself 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and I do feel safe. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
because I do see them going around all the time, especially when there's a party or gathering at the VFW. But I just don't understand, if it's open on one end of the block, why not the other? And maybe there's some, I've only been here over a year, and I'm looking to purchase, and I chose to rent first so that I could get to know everyone in the neighborhood and so forth. I mean, and there's a house right next door to me for sale,
Make sure it
but
has a legal driveway.
they don't. They don't. All the ones that are for sale don't have a driveway. I mean, and that's a concern for me, you know?
Right.
I mean, you walk 3 blocks, another 30 steps up. If I have groceries, I double park in the street. I take those up, I come back down, I go up, I come back down, I go park 3 blocks away, and then I come back and another trip up. You know, and when the weather's bad, it's just horrendous, you know, and I really enjoy this town. It's a small town. My aunt's lived here for 15 years and loves it. My daughter's involved in the Girl Scouts and cheerleading, things like that, and I really would like to be involved in the community, but there's just some things that just don't click with me, as far as my neighborhood goes.
Let us belatedly all welcome you here, okay? I think we'll take this matter up at the following work session next month, okay? And see what we think, you know, we can accomplish. There's a reason that there's very limited on-street parking.
Right.
And, you know, there's always that delicate balancing act between trying to address, you know, the inconveniences that you
Well,
suffer
I know
through.
I don't speak, you know, just from my own personal. I talk with my neighbors, you know, and they're like, you know, yeah, come on. I've had my neighbors help me bring
Sure.
my groceries up, you know. It's crazy, but I mean, when you look at the people, and I think a lot of people on my particular block are either retired or stay-at-home moms maybe. The cars just sit there, or I see the people coming from down the street, and I think there's even someone who is a firefighter that lives on my block as well. His van used to park in front of my house for like 3 days at a time.
Well, I'm sure we'll at least get to a point where you have a fair shot at these frozen parking spaces, so that, you know, will maybe ameliorate or improve the things a little bit. And in long term, we will have a discussion on it. I can't tell you what our answer might be, but
I mean, I
we
don't
appreciate
know,
you bringing
is
the
there
matter forward.
something else, you know, as far as my block that we can do? Do we need to sign anything in writing just from the neighbors and send it in to the mayor's attention or to the borough administrator? I'm not really sure where to go just to see that this does not fall through the
Well,
cracks.
it won't, but trust me, you come here, we will speak of it. Again, I want to reiterate,
Well, I'm not
I
asking
promise
for a
you.
resolution right now. I
No, I'm not,
think that takes time.
and nor would you get one. What I'm saying to you is don't necessarily expect that just because we will take it, you know, into
I know.
consideration, that we're going to have a resolve
I know.
to that's favorable in your mind, okay? We will, you know, give you the courtesy of discussing and seeing what we might do. One of the thoughts, if I might just, is, and I just speculate about it, is that maybe the apartment house people aren't parking on the site to the extent that they could or should. So we'll try to figure out
Maybe
something.
not. I mean,
If
just
you
from the
would
cars
leave
that
your
I've
telephone
normally
number
seen.
with the clerk,
Okay.
all right, so that if we have any particular questions of you, we can get back in touch with you. We appreciate it, okay?
Thank you for your time.
You've been in town for about a little over a year now?
Yes,
Has this been a problem pretty much every night for a year?
yes,
Thank you.
yes. And my neighbor who lives downstairs has been there for 16 years.
Ma'am, I need to, I don't want to be...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to take...
You're
everybody
well over
else's
2
time.
minutes, and I hope the gentleman who I held to 2 minutes or thereabouts are appreciating that.
Thank you
I
very
forgot
much
the clock.
for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to iterate, though, that my neighbor who's been there 16 years, it says that it's been a constant, ongoing problem. So I don't want you to just think that it just started since I've been
It
there.
hasn't gotten better.
Okay?
Thank
Thank you for your time.
Sure. Anybody else like to be heard this evening? Motion to close the... I'm sorry.
Just in response to what the young lady's problem was, we literally probably field hundreds of these comments during the year about the overnight parking policy in town. She's the first person I saw that actually came up here and addressed you guys. Everyone who talks to me about it, and this is almost daily, I tell them, you're barking up the wrong tree, you need to go to a council meeting, and you can't get anyone up here. She's the first person I saw come up here. But just to let you know, the problem is pervasive. It is. So maybe the overnight parking policy needs to be looked at. Whether that's the policy in general or the areas where overnight parking is allowed according to the demographics. Because I'm sure the town has changed. I've been here 14 years. I'm sure the town has changed. Logistically, the buildings going up, buildings coming down. Apartments, people moving in, people moving out. The overnight parking policy has not changed since I've been here. So maybe that just needs to be updated or something, but a lot of people have the same problem as she does.
And we will have a discussion on it. Thank you for your comments.
Mr.
Chairman, excuse me. Yes,
Hi, Jim Brokel, 125 Maplewood Ave. Excuse me for not standing. Let me start the clock. There you go. 3 questions.
Does it have a long on it, Jim?
Yes, it does. Okay. You mentioned you're going into closed session later this evening.
Yes, sir.
I believe under the open sunshine law, you're supposed to tell us in briefly what's that.
And the attorney will make the appropriate announcement.
Okay,
at the
fair
appropriate
fair
time.
enough. Second, if something should be before the personnel committee, if that person wished to waive their rights for closed session, wouldn't be obligated to discuss it in an open forum. Or do you both have to waive your rights?
The fact that there are, on the opinion of of certain council people, some of the questions were of a personnel nature, not
Right.
dealing with a specific individual, because the
Oh,
questions
okay, I
are more
understand. I understand.
general.
Slightly, you're talking personnel at large rather
Yes,
than
sir.
an individual. And second, if a concerned citizen or passer through the town had a question, and that this is not a forum for Q&A, how would that person have those questions answered? Would that be through writing through the mayor and council to the president of the council or to the mayor? And would they expect a response?
Many of the questions come directed through the business administrator.
I mean, is there a formal procedure if this is not the forum for those questions?
No, there is no formal procedure.
Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
Yes, sir,
112.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes, it's just remarkable that you entered into questions and answers with everybody but me since I got here. And I also wanted to point out that with a personnel matter, when you're going to discuss a personnel matter, the person who you're going to discuss is the person who has the right to confidentiality. If you're going to discuss negotiations, then you can go into closed session. If you're going to discuss a policy...
Mr. Brennan,
you know, you haven't interrupted
we're well
anybody.
studied on
So you've
closed
made certain
session
statements,
matters.
and I'd like you to, if you've recognized me, then I would like the opportunity to finish.
Surely.
Now, the person in that personnel matter is here. Now, he asked you some questions and you
No,
refused to answer.
they were general questions, sir.
No, he asked very, listen, you can couch it any way you want, but there's a tape recording of it. Nonetheless,
That's fine.
the person involved
And the video.
is the person whose rights are being protected vis-a-vis the closed session discussions. You cannot have a closed session discussion about a personnel matter without telling the person you're going to discuss. If you want to talk about negotiations, that's fine. If you want to talk about the policy as it pertains to the police department, that's a matter of public record that this body must discuss. If you want to set policy for the police department, you have every right to do so. You do it behind closed doors, and you're in violation of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you. Anybody else for the evening? Yes, Mr.
Melissa Nodine, 188 Summit Avenue. I just wanted to point out, I don't know if you were along with it, but the mayor did not recall the software question. February 5th meeting, we have on tape, if you'd like to refresh your memory, where you said there was no software, but yet you signed a requisition for software. So if you want to look at that to refresh your memory so you don't keep stumbling on your words, more than happy to let you see it. Quite a few discrepancies if you'd watched them.
Anybody else like to be heard this evening? Motion to close.
One more thing. Ms. Schnipp, what did you think of my scar?
What's that?
What did you think of my scar and my surgery? You can verify that I had surgery, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to go out of closed session. Second? I'm sorry, to go out of public, thank you. Pat was first and Chuck was second. Yes, I have a closed session matter, which is personnel. None of the parties here being present. And as far as I know, we will not be taking any action at the conclusion. Is that your expectation?
That's correct as to the matter that I have, and, but of course, if anyone wishes to wait, and you may certainly do so.
I'd like the attorneys to clarify, because I think some of the comments that came from the witness regarding when we discuss personnel and how we discuss a specific party, what the procedure is. Is there a procedure of advising?
We understand what it is. I don't think we're here
I
to
think members
go
of the
total.
public may have been confused.
Well, I'm sure those who are here are here with a predisposition in terms of, their view on the matters before council at the
All I
moment.
ask is that the attorney just clarify and say what the
All right,
procedure
Andy,
is.
would you
That's
like to
assuming that
clarify?
we have a predisposition. to something.
Excuse me.
That's a horrible assumption.
Excuse me, sir.
I would be
Thank you.
glad to comment if you would like.
Yes, would you please, since it's been requested of you?
Any
Look
other
at the rights
issues?
notice if you
Any
want.
other issues that you would like? Sure. The Open Public Meetings Act contains a number of exceptions that allows subjects to be discussed in closed session, provided the council adopts a resolution and we make the announcement as we just did. Matters of personnel are presumptively discussed in closed session when they involve a particular individual. That individual, however, has the right to waive the right to a closed session and ask that the matter be discussed in open session. That's why we give a notice to an employee before discussing the employee in closed session. It's called a rights notice because of the case. It was not a provision in the statute, but it's a case that was decided by the appellate division stating that notice has to be provided. The reason why is because the statute doesn't say notice has to be provided, but the court felt how else could the employee waive that right. So if the employee wants his dirty or her dirty linen aired in public, they may.
Alleged dirty.
They may do so. As to, now that's the personnel exception in a nutshell. There's a lot more that could be said about it, but when we talk about matters of general policy relating to employment, then yes, that has to be an open session because it's a general matter.
Okay.
If I have a question for Mr. Feedy, could I?
I will allow you to address Mr. Peedy if you have a question.
Mr. Feedy, I think I understood what you just said. Since in my 14-year career, I've never received a rights notice, can I assume that I've never been discussed in a closed session? Can I assume that? Because I've never received a rights notice, I don't know what one looks like. So I can assume that I've never been, a personnel matter concerning me has never been discussed in a closed session. Help me understand that. I'm just trying to understand.
14 years is a long time.
It is. You quoted.
Not up until 1996.
Mr. Lynch, you've asked the question, I think you've got the best answer to that.
I understood what a rights notice was. I just wanted to make sure that I applied it.
We will be going into closed session if any of you choose to await our coming out. As was announced, we do not expect to be taking any action for the balance of the meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Could I just ask a quick question, Mr. Feedy? And that would be with respect to
No, sir.
the chief of police and
No,
the
no,
police
sir.
commissioner? You don't want to know the answer to that one, do you?
Even before you uttered what your question was,
You
I
don't want to
told
know
you.
about what the commissioner can or cannot do, do you?
No. Well, I'm sure
You don't want to hear about it.
I'm sure we'll point out subsequently.
They're going to change the order,
And we'll read about it in Bergen Record. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
This is me. One person is speaking, and another person is speaking. No, you're not going to. Okay, there's due deference to you. He started talking while you were speaking. I feel that it's extremely important. He's representing you. He should allow the Trini to speak his piece. He kept making comments.
Did you find it rude?
I found, no, I don't, I'm not.
Okay, you have no problem with that.
No, Mr. Brennan,
There's one record.
let me tell you, I sat down and I negotiated with people who are much more difficult than me. All I ask in a public meeting, if Mr. Excuse me, excuse me, Nick, I can handle this myself. All I ask in a public meeting or any other place, if this gentleman is speaking, you be quiet, and I'm going to say his piece.
So what goes between myself and the
That's enough, thank you.
between the two of us?
No, this is a public meeting, and in due courtesy to everybody in that room, I
Has
can
your
say,
say.
excuse me, Dan, before.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
The man just said,
Are you kidding me?
I said, excuse me, Dan.
You yanked him out of my hand, dude! Are you kidding me?
Hold it, man.
This is a
Are you kidding
It's
me?
on camera. This gentleman purposely blocked the close of the door. I asked him.
You know what?
He did not.
You gave him a fraction of a second to move and he's been injured.
Go, man.
He's just recuperating from surgery. That's your
I
answer?
can't believe you yanked that out of my hand.
Where's the copy?
You're right.
I can't believe you did that.
You're right there.
No, I'm not okay.
I apologize.
Apologize isn't gonna fix what just happened.
But I still apologize. He's a grown man. You don't have to apologize.
You can do the apology.
You're sorry? I just had freaking surgery and you're sorry?
Go. No. You know what?
You really do. You gotta be kidding me.
You want to close this, Mrs. Van?
7:35 p.m. Borough Hall requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been fulfilled. This notice has been posted in two newspapers and posted in the Borough Hall bulletin board. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Meeks to lead us in the flag salute.
Councilmember Gentry.
Here.
Kern. Yes. Darcy Galvin.
Yes.
Martinez.
Here.
Sharif.
Here.
Yes.
Okay, we have a consent agenda and a payment of claims. Anybody, would we like to move everything in one vote with the payment of claims, if everybody has time to review them? The consent agenda items include tax warrants and, would you like to read the?
Yeah, transfers, PTO steam school raffle, grant applications, recycling, a tax appeal for Merlino and Noble, change order for Elm Avenue, authorizing a purchase of a sweeper, appoint John Meeks as a purchasing agent, tax appeal for T&M Associates, and a tax check, and the approval for Hose Company 3 accepts Lorenzo Miguel, David Udemy, Mark Udemy, Hector Liriano. Dawn Van resigns from Hose Company 2. Fire Department accepts John Cordero, and minutes February 19th, March 4th. Payment of claims.
Is everyone here for the 19th and the 4th? I think so, right?
I'd like to add to the consent agenda the approval of the contract negotiated by the chief relative to the radio. I believe that's an overlooked item.
The ESS contract, I was going to bring under new business, but if nobody objects to that, that's the resolution on the ESS communications contract, okay? I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
All in favor? I mean, second, I did second.
I'll
sorry.
second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? New business. If we can, the deadline to order patrol cars for delivery in July, if we're going to get them and not end up waiting until September, is the end of this month. So the chief has asked if we could move ahead on that. I think we are intending to replace at least 2 cars, which are pretty up there in mileage. And if we get delivery in July, that should work out just right. I mean, is there any objection to authorizing to placing the order?
Point of clarification, in fact, there's been discussion about having 3 cars coming to the fleet so that we can keep the mileage down on the vehicles. We seem to be breaking 100,000 on a regular basis, and that seems to be a trigger point to escalated repair and maintenance expenses. So I would suggest that we go for 3 vehicles. And in fact, that's been the request of the chief to break this 2-year cycle that we're on, and by getting a 3rd vehicle, we can do that.
Any discussion on this? So I have a motion for a resolution to be perfected by Mr. Feedy's going to need the figures from Chief Guarneri, but a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Second from Council. All in favor? So adopted.
And then just note, Mayor, that also would be subject to the CFO certification.
Absolutely.
Available, and any other contingencies that we find, but I will speak to the chief on that.
Okay. New business, that was the new business. Committee reports. Martine?
None.